ListenLayer allows anyone to start using data layers. Our listeners automatically generate data layer activity. And once that data layer activity is being generated by ListenLayer, you can come into ListenLayer and you can customize the data layer information. You can add information to the data layer. You can take information from the data layer. You can store it in the browser. You can pull information from the browser and put it back into the data layer. There's all sorts of customization you can do once a data layer is inside of ListenLayer or being generated from ListenLayer. But what if you have native data layer activity on your website? That would be something that's either generated by another tool or that's just written into the code of your website. So for example, maybe you have a custom funnel built and a programmer has already done some basic programming to push some data layer events when a user moves between steps in the funnel. Well, the native data layer's listener would then allow you to target that native data layer activity and do something with it inside of ListenLayer. So this video is going to walk through the native data layer's listener at a high level, give you an understanding of what it is and how you might want to use it. So the first step, as usual, is to turn it on and then jump down to the features screen and make sure that we have some features enabled. In this case, we have a single activity feature. The activity features are those that generate data layer activity. And this is the capture native data layers feature. This corresponds to an event that'll be pushed into the data layer called native data layer. And how it works is we're going to tell ListenLayer which native data layer events we want them to listen for. So in this case, we have 3 native events. There's the pre-page view, the update pet, and the form step native events. So in this situation, you can assume that we have a website and we have an IT group or a programmer who has already done some data layer work and they're pushing some of that information into ListenLayer here using these 3 events. By putting those here, we're essentially telling ListenLayer to wait for that activity to occur and then grab onto it, allow us to do some sort of customizations with it, and then push it back into the data layer. There'll be an overview video here on the Capture Native Data Layers feature. There'll be a Learn button here shortly. So I recommend you click on that and dive into that particular feature. Now, in addition, we have all of our standard features, custom data layer values. This is going to be extremely important for the native data layers listener because if we are targeting native data layer activity, the primary goal of that is going to probably be to then take that activity and do some sort of customizations to it. So maybe our native data layer activity is missing information, or we want to use it to categorize certain things. And this would allow you to do that by writing rules in ListenLayer that take values from the data layer in other areas and write conditions around those. And when those conditions are met, push custom information into the data layer. We also have browser storage, which can also be very useful in this case. It allows us to save values to the user's browser using cookies, local storage, or session storage based on rules that we write inside of ListenLayer. And as usual, we have our monitoring feature, which we can utilize to write rules to receive notifications when certain data layer activity occurs or does not occur, and our reporting feature. So I'd recommend jumping into the video that will be posted here on native data layers, as that will provide the most comprehensive overview of this listener and exactly how to use it. And will also provide in-depth examples of the data layer activity.